we are growing at 22-23% year over year. Ring Central, which is almost twice our size, is growing at 33%. Why is that? What the heck is going on? Go figure it out. Given that we're winning a lot, it implies that we are not seeing a whole bunch of deals. So we started doing an analysis then. 3% of companies are a good high-end fit and intent for us at any given time. And then we looked at, we'd collected Bombora data for about 9 or 10 months, and then we looked at the leads that we had and mapped it to what showed up in Bombora, and essentially we got about 15 to 20% in the small segment or the 50 to 250 segment, and then 35% and 40% in higher segments. And if you net it out for less than 50 employees, it works out to about 12% or so, which is a long way of saying there is 88 to 90% of the people who are looking for a unified communication solution and who are a fit for us. They were not finding us through the inbound marketing that we were doing. So that is the core issue. The market is growing tremendously. There's a huge chunk of audience who are looking for these solutions, and a very minor portion of this audience is actually finding us through the inbound marketing that we were doing. And so we said, okay, the next question became, okay, how can we go get this customer? How can we go get these people who are in market, who have high fit and intent for buying 8x8? What we did was another analysis. In this case, we went back to the same set of data that we had, which is about 10, 12, 11 months worth of Bombora data. We looked at all the leads that we've had in over a certain time period, and then we matched up the Bombora data with our data. And we took the topics that we had into multiple buckets. The first bucket was 8x8 and 8x8 terms themselves. The second one was generic terms like VoIP, UCaaS, and such terms. And finally, the competitors like Ring or Nextiva and so on. So we looked at the topics in these 3 buckets. And as I mentioned, we would then match the data that we had with the data that we found from Bombora. And then we looked at the paths that people were taking. I'm going to show some example shortly, but essentially what we did was we looked at the journey that people took, and we bucketized it into start, mid, and end. And then we looked at what are the terms that surge the most in each of these 3 segments, so that we could understand what people are looking for. The key thing that we noted was that for the most part, people surged on competitors, and they surged relatively low for generics. So between the analysis that we did on the search area and the analysis that we saw here basically indicated to us that A, we need to start doing more of conquesting on SEM, so we pushed up his cost per click. And secondly, we also need to increase our own brand and our own brand presence. So if that's said, I'm going to toss it over to Vivian to talk about what we did with that.
So we started the journey with mapping out all of our Bombora keywords topic in through big buckets that focusing on align with our product solution offering. And then we also look at our data and segment the data in a way that we can target each segment in the way that is more appropriate for them. We also select, from the digital channel, we look at display ads, we look at social media, we also start with the sponsor content program with LinkedIn as well. And then we build out our nurture program in Marketo, which is our marketing automation platform, very comprehensive. And the last piece will be outbound calls by our SDR team. And just keep in mind that for everything that we do, the content, creative, and even the copy, create very specific for that message and for that channel. This is an example, our nurture program flow that we built out in Marketo. As I mentioned, we have 3 different sales segments, and what we have is one nurture program flow for each of the sales segment. And within that nurture stream, we have 3 different paths, and that's tied to our 3 big buckets of topic that I mentioned earlier. And within each of that nurture stream, we have about 3 emails. The overall result that we got from the email nurture flow was about 20% open rate and a 15% click-through rate. This is really good, consider the contacts that we have is still very cool, right? They're still very engaging with us. They don't know much about 8x8 just yet. Here's an example of the Moving offices, which is one of the key topic that we pull out from the Bombora keywords, and we developed this nurture email for our mid-market sales segment. This one I pull out because they got the highest performance from the open and click-through. On average, the email received about 30% open click-through and 30% open rate and 26% click-through rate. And the feedback we got from sales is that the prospects that have gone through this whole journey from seeing the ads on Facebook to getting the email nurture from us to getting a phone call from them, they're much more engaging and they know who we are, so they don't have to have a lot of conversation about our brand.